Keep falling into the back on either side. We're gonna bring these people on the side end as well. Just if everyone can make sure their cell phones are off, so they don't ring in the middle of it. Keep coming, keep coming. All right, people on the side, if you can shift in, right? You guys with the sign, shift in this way towards Matt, and same thing on this side. If you guys just come in close. Come this way, this way, this way, this way. Towards the end, that way, that way. There you go. All right. If everyone just be quiet for a second. Ready? Ready? All right. Is anyone not ready? All right. County exec, all you.
Good morning. I'm Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman, and we are here today about an important issue affecting the children of Long Island, the students in our public schools. People come to Long Island for the school districts. We know that. It's our #1 economic driver. We know that people choose Nassau and Suffolk County because we have some of the best school districts in America. Our education is second to none in Nassau County. That's why I'm here today to join with our elected officials, school board members, and concerned citizens about a plan by the Department of Education to so-called regionalize education. And isn't it interesting that excluded from their regionalization is the cities of Yonkers, Buffalo, Rochester, New York City, and Syracuse. This is just another attack on the suburbs by state government, which is completely controlled by left-wing progressive politicians from New York City. We will not stand by and let the Department of Education gut our school districts. Nassau and Suffolk County combined send over $7 billion more to Albany than we get back. We are their cash cow. We are their piggy bank. And they should start treating us with the respect that we deserve as well as we were gratified to learn this morning that Governor Hochul supports our position. So we expect her to fight to make sure that this does not come to fruition, and that she fights the legislature and uses her veto power to make sure that this regionalization plan is dead on arrival. I'd like to start off with hearing it from those who are on the front lines of educating our children. People who donate their time to serve on school boards and spend a lot of time making sure that our kids get the finest education in America. So let's start off. I have two friends here with me. Let's start off with Margaret Marchand from the Locust Valley School District, who's going to give you a little detail of what this would mean if it was implemented, and then we're going to hear from Merrill Waxman, who coincidentally I went to law school with, and she's going to talk from the perspective of the Roslyn School Board. So Margaret, you want to lead off?
Thank you to the county executive for always standing with our children. We met back in 2012, 2021, I believe. 2021, and he has been a steward of our educational system, and he has been a protector of our children, and I am humbled and grateful for all of the work, including here today, as well as Senator Jack Martins and Assemblyman Jake Blumenkrantz for listening to us immediately and acting and putting in the Our Schools, Our Rules bill. I stand here before you today as a representative and founder of the Coalition of New York State School Boards. It was founded 3 years ago with Kerry Wachter, president of Massapequa, and Mike Rich, president of Island Trees. The three of us realized then the situation that we were under, and we have continued to fight for the autonomy and the independence of our schools. These regulations, the first being the emergency, which is automatically active, is a complete violation of every single school board member's elected capacity. And every single school board member should be absolutely appalled. And they should be standing alongside the other school districts who have bravely and courageously decided to file an Article 78 and an injunction to stop this regulation in its tracks. We are very clear in our stance, and our stance is we do not want your emergency regulation for regionalization over our schools in the entire state. We are very clear that we do not want the second regulation that is right behind it that codifies and changes the power shift for BOCES, superintendents, to be in charge of our districts. Nowhere in either of those regulations was there ever a mention of Board of Education, not that would have changed our stance, but the absence of that is clear. It is clear to us what is about to happen in this state. This is not a conversation. The plans have been made. They are rolling them out, and we are not going to stand for it. It will be a complete... It will be a complete existential threat and complete power shift from what we have today. Right now, we nominate BOCES board members. We vote for BOCES board members. We vote for BOCES budget. We send representatives from our boards onto their budget committee and in their process. BOCES doesn't do any of that in our independent school districts. They have no say. We pay them to be a member, and we pay them for their services, and we all pay them differently because we have different needs and wants and cultures and capacities that we have to serve in our individual districts. I want to mention the courageous boards who are fighting back. The first one to file was Cold Spring Harbor and Oyster Bay. They led the charge. Thank you very much. Followed by Locust Valley, East Meadow. There's 14 of them, so let me get through it. East Meadow, Massapequa, Connecticut, Shoreham Wading River, Mount Sinai, Plain Edge, Hop Hog, Eastport South Manor, Hewlett Woodmere, Center Moriches, and did I say Island Trees? And I think I'm forgetting one, so I apologize if I remember it. I didn't have my notes. No. I want to really thank them because this is not easy to do. There are a lot of strong-arming powers out there that put fear in boards, and these boards stood up. And I'm going to say this, I am asking for every district to put their politics aside. This is non-political. And this coalition has been leading the charge, and we ask every single school board in this state, especially the highest performing ones, to join us. This is not a coalition lawsuit. This is your colleagues in the state of New York working together, ironically, working together without a mandate over our heads. So I invite school board to join on. You can connect through the coalition, and we will put you in touch with the lawyer. So far, the price shouldn't stop you because the more we get, the lower the price goes. And if you are in a school district and you are not getting the vote across the table, I invite you to come on. You can be an independent school board petitioner. Every single person is in this fight, and I thank you, and again, I thank Kerry Wapner and Mike Rich, because the three of us have been standing together for all of the school boards for the past 3 years, and we are all volunteers. We are not a dues-paying membership, and we just all work together. And our website was made by another volunteer board member, so bear with us if there's some inadequacies. We're all doing our best, and thank you very much to Bruce.
And now from the Roslyn School Board, Merrill Waxman. Merrill.
Thank you, Bruce. One can always count on you, Bruce, and I know this, to stand on the side of what is right. I'm going to say that I know that from decades of observances, and let me just leave it at that. I also want to thank our Senator, Jack Martins, from the Senate. He was our senator once, and is our senator once again, who I also know to stand on the side of what is right. And in this crowd here is our State Comptroller, Elaine Phillips. I have to recognize her for her service to my community, which was distinguished. And I thank you, Elaine, very much. And I do recognize all of the electeds and the volunteers who are standing here. And I want to say to our colleague, Margaret, Marchand, never question the heart of a volunteer. All the rest, there's been a lot of talk and a lot of chatter, and I don't like it. I represent the Roslyn Public Schools, and the Roslyn Public Schools, as I've told my colleagues, evaluates on her own and acts on her own. We are a lighthouse, but when we shine a light, others can see. Having said that, I will not deify or demonize anybody or anybody up here for taking the stands that they believe in their hearts were right in service for children, and doing so as volunteers in a non-partisan way. Having said that, there are those who are carrying water in a partisan way. Yeah. Look who's here and look who's absent, who was also invited and did not come and did not speak, but did communicate, and they know who they are. And pretty much everyone who received their communications knows who they are. Superintendents, including mine, have been told that this is a great big nothing burger and everybody should have nothing to see here, no they're there, move on. What one says and what one does have to line up. Our children know that. You talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. What is the lady from Roslyn saying? Well, the regulations are crystal clear. They say what they say, and if you've taken the time to read them and to learn what the process is and what they mean, that should be self-explanatory. These are emergency regulations under the term the general welfare. What was the emergency? What was it? Roslyn wasn't experiencing an emergency before one conjured one. You can't just conjure an emergency so that it fits squarely into an emergency regulatory process that you wish to invoke to expedite something from on high and then backfill it with support from the ground. Our superintendents were given a 46-page questionnaire that we're told must be filled out. That is a mandate. And it was not funded. The amount of administrative time that it takes to compile the answers to that takes time. And it will take time in the state education department to collate all of those reports. So it's burning taxpayer money on both ends of this. And for what purpose? For what purpose? Is it going to be attached to a change in the state education aid funding formula? Well, we've been all warned about that. We wait every year when we put our budgets together to see if our state aid allocations are going to come through in full measure, or how much we might be shorted, or which tweak in the formula will, in a disparity way, hurt somebody or other. And Roslyn is not exempted from that. Roslyn is a way more diverse community than anybody knows. We have people from all walks of life and children of all kinds of needs, ordinary, extraordinary, special, and every other thing. And we address our children on a local level, on an individual basis. I once said of my board service that if I could write an IEP for every single kid at every single level, I would do it, because of emerging learners and because everybody learns differently. Differentiated instruction, that's everything. You want to know how to do it, ask a music teacher who's trying to bring a chorus or an orchestra or a band together. But I digress. Let's get back to the regulation. The regulation says what it says, and state ed put on its website that it's optional, but the regulation doesn't say it. They call now on the state ed website the BOCES superintendent a facilitator. Well, the regulation calls it a supervisor. The law says advisor, counsel, without any supervisory authority. And frankly, I will speak for Roslyn, we do an awful lot of collaborating with our neighbors through BOCES and outside of BOCES. And we do it very, very well in ways that make sense to our communities, that are mutually beneficial to our communities and our neighbors, where it makes sense and where practical reality allows. And we certainly don't need an added administrative layer or an added supervisor to be self-justifying for its own existence, to facilitate or supervise any of that. We've got everyone's phone number, and when we have a situation, we call our neighbors. The superintendents are in quadrant talks on the weekly, and there are many here who are in districts like mine. And we've spoken to all of them, and we hear our community, and we have questions, and we continue to have questions. Roslyn wrote, because we are pursuing all of our administrative remedies, we wrote to state ed as permitted on November the 5th. While the Board of Regents was meeting, we made sure we got comments in. Will they read them? We asked questions, they've not been answered. We heard that our Long Island region said state ed is going to clarify the regulation, but such clarification has not yet been forthcoming. We don't see it. And if it isn't there, it isn't there. And we are all spending a great deal of time, and soon treasure, to clarify what should have been clarified. I can continue. I have lots to say on the topic, but so do others. But I'm just going to say this, and I hope that we are being heard. We teach our children that when you make a mistake, you own it, you correct it if you can, you apologize if you need to, and you never make the same mistake again. That is why pencils have been
Good morning, everyone.
Hold on.
Let's get through this. We'll get to questions shortly. My name is Jack Martins. I have the privilege of representing the 7th Senate District. I also have the privilege with my colleague, Jake Blumenkrantz in the Assembly, of sponsoring the Our Schools, Our Rules bill that makes it clear that any plan that would regionalize our schools can only be accomplished with the consent of each and every school board participating voluntarily. Now, all of this started because of a self-proclaimed, self-justified, and yet unexplained emergency declared by the Board of Regents on September 25th when they passed a regulation. Now, I expect that when adults vote on something, when they vote on something, I expect that they've read it, and I expect that they understand what it means. And ever since September 25th, where they called for the regionalization of our schools based on BOCES districts. We have been asking for clarification because reading the document, it is clear that that document makes it mandatory that our schools coordinate, regionalize, and give up authority over their own budgets and over their own students' curriculum and over their own students' well-being and provide that to a regional authority. And that is something that we will not stand for. It is something that we do not believe is in the best interest of our local communities, and certainly not in the best interest of our students that currently have the benefit of attending some of the best schools in the country and the state. So I have the privilege also of being here with my colleagues from the New York State Senate. We have Steve Rhoads, Patricia Canzoneri-Fitzpatrick, Alexis Weik, Anthony Palumbo, Mario Mattera, as well as Dean Murray, all co-sponsors of the bill. But there's a term that we use, and it's gotten a lot of use lately, and I think we all understand the term gaslighting, right? So I took the opportunity before coming over to look up a definition of gaslighting, so I'll share it for everybody. It's a form of psychological abuse or manipulation in which the abuser attempts to sow self-doubt and confusion in the victim's mind. Look at the September 25th resolution. Look at what they're telling you. They'll tell you it's a conversation. They'll tell us that it is nothing more than something that people can voluntarily participate, but that's not what the rule says. And ladies and gentlemen, until they agree and confirm formally that this is voluntary, we will continue to fight. Now, Governor Hochul put out a statement this morning. The county executive referred to it earlier, where she said a couple of things. She said that none of this will happen without the voluntary participation of each school district. We agree. Welcome aboard, Governor. I'm glad you finally spoke up. You're glad you're finally on board. But she also said she doesn't understand why we're here holding a press conference, calling for it. And you know what, Governor? The question isn't why we're here. The question is why you're not here. When it comes to protecting our children, when it comes to protecting our community, nothing's more important. We're here doing that. You're not. It's time that the governor spoke up. She did the right thing, used her bully pulpit, and if she does agree that our school districts can only do this voluntarily, speak up.
Yep.
Stand with us. Stop criticizing and rejecting the facts. So, with that, I want to thank all of our friends who are here. Volunteer school board members, school superintendents, county legislators, state legislators, members of the Senate, people who are advocates for our children. And I want to ask, is there any more greater advocate for our children than our parents? I'm going to ask my colleague, Patricia Canzoneri-Fitzpatrick, to say a few words. Senator?
Thank you, Senator Martins, and thank you everyone for being here. This is just another example of Albany's top-down approach to overrule the elected officials that we have locally, whether it's local village boards, zoning boards, with our housing crisis that we had, and now it's our school boards. Duly elected fiduciaries that know that they are doing what's best for our district. We will not stand for it. We will not stay quiet because our local electeds are the ones that do the best job knowing the circumstances that we have in each individual school district. This cannot be tolerated. I'm glad that the governor has said that it should be optional. Our school boards already share services. They already do everything possible to cut their costs because they take that duty very seriously. We should not be handcuffing them and mandating things to them without knowing their specifics. This fight will not stop until this regulation is revoked. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Now for a few words from our colleague representing not only Nassau County, but Suffolk County as well, Senator Alexis Weik.
Make no mistake, this is the bail reform of education.
Yep.
This is bad policy that's forced upon us, that's going to be shoved through the legislature, whether we like it or not. We need to use our voices to put a stop to it now and not let them get away with this once again. And I know we have the power to do that. Today's the day we start that fight, and we don't stop until we win.
Great colleague in Albany, someone who's also fighting every day to oppose this regulation and is a sponsor of the Our Schools, Our Rules bill, our Senator Steve Rhoads.
Thank you, Senator Martin, for all of our colleagues for being here today, for parents, for our school boards and superintendents joining us in this effort. As much as the State Education Department wants to say that this is voluntary, it's been an extraordinary week of statements. One of those statements comes from counsel in the State Education Department in a letter written on November 14th, where he states that the department eschewed this top-down approach in favor of the voluntary cooperative initiative embodied in the proposed legislation. But prior to that, after implying that our opposition to this is somehow based upon inherent racism, he states that the commissioner may consolidate or reorganize school districts when consistent with the master plan. And while school districts have procedural rights prior to such a consolidation, the commissioner may issue an order over school districts' objections. There it is for the world to see. If you've ever had the opportunity to take a look at the New York State flag, you will see Lady Liberty kicking off the British crown. We did not kick off the British crown 249 years ago to allow unelected bureaucrats in the State Education Department to put it on their own heads and rule over us. We will rule over ourselves. Morning from the governor, which states that the governor has absolutely no role in the creation or oversight of the State Education Department's plan. What that tells me is that the governor has lost control. The State Education Department has gone rogue. They are more concerned about social justice than they are concerned for the education of our children, and we will fight for local control until we win. And I am thrilled to hear, we'll take her at her word, that the governor will join us in that effort. She will support our schools, our rules legislation, and we urge there to be a special session of the state legislature to pass that tomorrow rather than when. We will fight for parents, we will fight for our educators, we will fight for our schools, and most importantly, we will continue to fight for our children and for local control.
And on behalf of our friends and colleagues in our Suffolk County communities on the East End, my colleague, Senator Anthony Palumbo.
Yes, thank you, Senator. In an effort to wrap a little bit, my district goes from Stony Brook University to Montauk, so I'm as far east as you get. And we do a lot of what they're suggesting needs to be done, and we do it voluntarily. You hear about gaslighting to almost wrap everyone's comments. And those comments and that release by the governor, she said, we need to stop being politicians and get back to doing our job. But the bottom line is, I've been in the legislature for 13 years, 2 more to go, at least, hopefully. And at the end of the day, these regulations are intentionally vague. Why can't they just simply come out and answer the question? And it is a little bit more sinister than you think, because I've been there long enough to know that vagueness gives them the ability to do whatever they want. So Governor, if you're with us, then stand with us. No more lip service. The gaslighting is quite obvious. Everyone, we have counsel trying to divert the issue into something else, into a study by Newsday about racism by realtors or something along those lines. Bottom line, this is a very simple answer. Is it voluntary or not? Answer the question, Governor, please. Thank you.
We had a number of superintendents who we've spoken to over the course of the last few weeks. Some said it's nothing to worry about. And I've asked them, did you read the regulation? They said, yeah, but they told us that they're not going to implement it. Yeah. And so, here's the answer. And I told them, and I'll tell you, until they make it clear that it is not going to be imposed on our school districts, we will continue to fight for our local school districts and for our children. And we won't stop fighting. God bless you, and thank you very much.
God bless.
Thank you very much, Senator Martins, and all of our elected officials, school board members, parents, concerned citizens who are joining in the fight with us today to protect our children and make sure they get the quality education that they deserve. With that, we would take any questions from the media. Okay, I guess we covered everything. Thank you so much.